What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to Comic Book Nerd Nation, episode number 64. I'm Fox2. Today I'm here with the whole effing Brian.
Yo, hello. It's just me.
Yep, you
It's a
are.
me.
You're the
It's a
whole
me,
effing crew
Brian.
today. I guess Topher is hopefully going to be joining us in progress. He's having some technical difficulties, and I believe Pirate is just flat out too hungover from Beer Fest to join us.
Once again, the pirate isn't here. He must be swabbing the deck
Swapping the decks.
or chasing the booty.
Or chasing the booty. Or swabbing the
Or
booty.
swabbing the booty,
Swabbing the booty
chasing
and
the deck.
chasing the decks. Oh, that's funny. Okay, well, screw it. Let's just, let's see what we can do, just me and you, until maybe Topher shows up. Let's talk about what we've been reading. Why don't you go ahead and kick things off?
Well, this week was the last chapter of Spider-Verse,
Perfect. One of our viewers actually wanted to hear about this.
which Spider-Verse, a little quick rundown. There was an enemy that Spider-Man had faced off against early on that had come back to try to end all the spiders in the different universes of Marvel Comics, and him and his family, they were like vampire type people that suck the life force out of the different spiders of the dimensions.
Is that like how
So
they feed off their power or whatever?
yeah, basically, like kind of like they're almost like leeches,
Okay,
but they they were presented more as looking more like vampires.
I got you.
And so during the whole Spider-Verse, Spider-Man from the universe we know, the Marvel 616 universe, would gathered a team of all the Spider-Men or Spider-Woman of each universe to fight them. And, the last issue came out this week. It was a really good story from since when Peter Parker came back after Doc Ock had his body.
No,
Probably
I
one of the
didn't.
first good stories.
I didn't keep up with this story, but I did like try to get a little bit of information on it just in case, just for this week's episode, because like I said, we had a request to talk about this, so I tried to do a little bit of homework in the time that I had. But I read something about, wasn't one of the Spider-Verse characters Uncle Ben from a different universe?
Yeah, one of the Spider-Man characters was Uncle Ben. He got bit by the spider instead of Peter. Like he went with Peter to the field trip to the lab where
Where
he
it
got bit
happened.
by that spider, yeah, and he
Right.
got bit instead of Peter. And Peter, does he mention? I don't know if he mentions how Peter died, but that universe ended up being a nuclear fallout like universe, and he was
Hmm.
trapped inside a fallout shelter for a while, and they found him in there.
Oh,
And
okay.
he had given up on being Spider-Man forever.
Now, did he play a huge part in the story of this crossover? Like, I don't. Do you call this a? I guess you would call this a crossover event.
Yeah, basically is a crossover of all different Spider-Man characters there's ever been. But no, he didn't really. He make maybe the third or second to last issue they found him.
When I like the reason I'm so curious about it is because when I read that and like read that he was part of it, like it just made me think of like the old like saying that like there's only one character that you can't bring back that stays dead in Marvel comics, and
Uncle Ben.
that's Uncle Ben. And it's like, okay, well, now you've got this like different version of Uncle Ben that's out there, and he has spider powers and stuff. So
Well, that saying used to be Bucky
Bucky Barnes,
Barnes
and
and,
yeah, and
and Uncle Ben.
right. Clearly, that didn't stay true either. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Topher, in case you are new to the show or whatever.
Hi, we've never met before. I'm Topher.
Way to make it totally
I
creepy.
like
Are you getting ready to say that you like long walks on the beach? And
I was about to.
oh my god.
And if you've never seen the podcast before, that's Fox, and
Yeah, we already introduced ourselves.
that's Brian, and
Yeah. What else have you been reading, Brian?
Also, I'm sure somebody else wanted to talk about this, but I'm gonna drop it first. Marvel's Star Wars comic line, Darth Vader. That was really good.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's good to have good writing on Star Wars books now. It
Yeah.
basically takes the same place as their, or the same time period as their Star Wars.
Is that supposed to be
Well-
like after the first Death
Yeah,
Star blows up?
After A New Hope,
Okay.
between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
I finally read the second Star Wars issue, but I haven't picked up Darth Vader yet. I was
Oh,
gonna
it's
go
good.
do
It's
that
really
after
good.
this. So, yeah, I hear he has a confrontation with Jabba the Hutt, which
Yes.
sounds like it would be really cool.
Yeah, that's why
So
I hadn't
I'm looking
read
forward to that.
I hadn't read either of the Star Wars titles yet. So I just kind of came in on the Darth Vader #1, and I was a little. I mean, I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan, so I understand like the timeline of it mostly. But I had a little bit of a trouble. I assumed that it was going to pick up at the end of Return of the Jedi. And so, having that preconception in my head, and like reading it, and then like all of a sudden Jabba the Hutt's there, and it's like, wait, hold on a minute, this isn't lining up. But then it started like as I got further into it, it made sense.
I mean, if Vader's in, I mean, it's called Darth Vader. By the end of Return of the Jedi, Vader's dead. So
Right. Well, I don't know, man.
so it'd be pretty hard to have a Darth Vader book.
It's a very
after
valid
Return of the
point.
Jedi.
Now I feel like a total idiot.
Mister, I know the Star Wars timeline pretty well, and the sequence.
Yeah,
of
that's a
events.
good point. I completely overlooked that. I don't know why. I was just assuming.
Well-
I think I had heard something somewhere that it was going to. It's all going to be canon, and I think when I heard the interview that I listened to, I was assuming the way they made it sound that it was going to pick up from the end.
I'm just making fun of you because like I seeing as how they're doing stuff now, like the movies they're working on are going to take place after the original trilogy. So like,
Yeah, I thought this was going to be like between the two.
You kind of feel like all this stuff bridges the gap between the two trilogies. But yeah, no. In Star Wars #1, the little crawl thing, the intro crawl, like in space with the words,
Yeah.
like set up the time period and everything. I'm assuming there's one of those in Darth Vader that
Yeah, there
probably
is.
Yeah.
maybe mentions it or not, but
But Brian, what else? Anything else we totally just hijacked your fucking.
That's about it for this week.
That's about it. Now that you guys talked all over my shit.
Yeah, hurts.
What about you, Topher? What have you been reading? Anything?
I have read one comic book this week, and I just mentioned it.
Scooby-Doo.
The whole Star Wars #2.
He-Man number 37.
That one. That's the only book I read this week was Star Wars #2.
He-Man fan fiction.
And Brian, dude, the He-Man comic apparently is pretty good. I kind of want to read it. I mean, maybe not some fan fiction, but you never know. Like, I could see a slash fic of He-Man and Skeletor getting drunk one night and
Whoa.
maybe letting their feelings out. And
Don't give anybody ideas to write fan fiction about us.
Sounds like that's about to go down the Skinamax direction there.
But no, I mean Brian already pretty much talked about this last week, but it was pretty neat. It's still good. There was action, there was character stuff, there was Darth Vader with 2 lightsabers, there was an AT-AT. There were more stormtroopers getting killed by rebels. and more stormtroopers getting killed by Darth Vader because it's what he does. And yeah, so far it's been really fun the first couple issues. So yeah, I want to pick up Vader. And then there's a third title. There's a Princess Leia ongoing that's coming out that's not out yet, but I think it comes out in March. I want to say that one starts in March. So I'm definitely picking that one up too.
For my what I've been reading this week, hasn't been a ton of stuff, but I did get to read a few things. Batman Eternal. Brian, did you get to read Batman Eternal?
For this week?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Oh my gosh. Well, spoiler alert. We have finally found, again, I guess, I hope, the actual villain that's behind everything that's going on, and it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I did read it.
As they tie everything together and all of the different storylines kind of converge, it makes sense that this would be the main villain of Batman Eternal. And we find out, again, spoiler alert, if you haven't read it and you don't want to know, skip ahead a couple minutes and then rejoin us. But it looks like Ra's al Ghul is the main villain for Batman Eternal, which is just super cool. He's an awesome character. I'm really interested to follow this and see where they take it, but it looks like the next book, Batman is actually going to confront Ra's al Ghul, and we'll see where it takes us from there. But they have done a really good job of twisting and turning the story to really make you not fully understand exactly who's behind it all up until this point. I never at any point in time have had like a solid, like, I knew it was that guy. I knew it was that guy, even though they were trying to make me think it was this other person. They did a really good job of like kind of taking you through the maze, so to speak. It's been really awesome. Let's see, what else did I read this week? Oh my gosh, I can't even remember. I think I read.
Must have been really good.
Yeah, I know. There wasn't. I was kind of let down. There didn't seem like there was that many great books out this week. At least that I picked up. The Green Lantern Guardians was meh at best. I read something from Marvel this week too. Actually, I can't remember what it was.
Is it a Hulk?
No, I need to pick up. I really want to pick up.
Are they still doing Savage? Are they still doing Savage Hulk?
I think that's over.
Okay.
But I want to pick up the Hulk versus Thanos. Is almost over. I think this week was the 3rd out of 4 issues. So I want to pick that up and kind of I want to read that as all at once, not like, with a month between them or however long they're going between them. Gosh, I wish I could remember what else I read. I don't mean to disappoint you,
but Jim Starlin's writing it, so Hulk's going to lose.
Yeah, it's possible for sure.
Unless they get married.
Seeing that, hang on, I'm going to look up.
Unless it's a fanfic where Hulk and Thanos, put aside their differences and maybe go get drunk one night and air their feelings, and one thing leads to another. And...
Damn, you're all about some fucking comic book prano right now.
They got the Infinity Stone of Love.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what else I read. Gosh, I don't know.
To me, that fan fiction would take place in the 60s or 70s. I could hear some funk going on in the background.
Oh, did the new Justice League come out this week?
No.
Thanos turns around.
That's next week.
Oh.
Thanos turns around, bends over, and goes, "Hey, Hulk, smash this."
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. All right, then. That's special. Yeah, I can't remember what else I read, but so clearly it must not have been that good. Otherwise, I would have obviously remembered. So,
that's a good question. What would be the most disturbing flash fic you could read about two comic book characters and together? What would the two characters be that would be most disturbing?
The most disturbing?
The most disturbing.
I'm going to go with... Hmm. That's a good one. I'm gonna go with like He-Man and like Clayface.
Okay.
What about all right? Your turn. You got to answer the same question. I can't just go out on a limb and just throw it out.
Okay. I'm going with Master Pan.
Actually, I'm gonna go Sinestro and like fucking Harley Quinn.
Why? Like, why?
Yeah,
is
that's not disturbing.
Because he's all about fear and like it'd be like a fucking masochistic like fucking I don't know. Just go. My brain's not working properly today. Clearly.
First one I just thought of, pretty disturbing, would be a slightly lesser known character. I might have to explain who he is. Master Pandemonium and Power Pack.
What?
You're gonna have to clearly explain that otherwise.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's not as enjoyable for us because we have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
So Power Pack is it's a group of these like 4 young children. They're brothers and sisters, 2 boys and 2 girls, like between the ages of like 7 and.
Oh, like, you talking about Marvel's Power
or something?
Pack?
Yeah, Marvel's Power Pack. And okay, and Master Pandemonium. Master Pandemonium is he's a villain, and like he's like a C-list villain in Marvel. He's like this dude. He's like this. I don't know if he's a demon or if he's just like a sorcerer, but he's like a sorcerer who teams up with like the powers of hell, and his hands are actually these 2 like demon puppets. Like they literally, like he has no hands. Like the ends of his arms are these 2 little demons that have their own little. So like I'm just picturing this like puppet show with Master Pandemonium for the kids in Power Pack gone terribly wrong, and I'm a horrible person now.
Okay, so
yeah, you are a horrible person.
I have a new one then. What is what's his name? The kid that is when Shazam is not Shazam.
Billy Batson.
Billy Batson and Ra's al Ghul. Because Billy Batson's like 8 and Ra's al Ghul's like 700.
There's like 50 pages of comics.
All right, it's your turn, Brian. Most disturbing night out on the town, so to speak. What about Spider Pig? Spider Pig and Hulk.
Watch him pork somebody.
Oh.
No. Okay.
I don't know.
Brian's too disturbed. He can't take it.
I'm trying to think of like obscure weird characters.
Oh god. All right, we can come back to that. Just keep thinking. In the back of your mind, just keep thinking those perverted thoughts. Tabletop Game of the Week, the section of our show that gets literally 0 preparation every week. And let's look over to Topher to see that surprised look on his face.
We might not have anyone for this week.
I mean, I can always make one up, but...
How about we go with Chutes and Ladders?
Chutes and Ladders.
Chutes and Ladders is a good game. That game is pretty fun.
I was looking for a picture of Master Pandemonium that would be like
acceptable.
But, I think that segment right there just took over for Tabletop Game of the Week.
Yeah.
Fairly difficult to find a picture of like a C-list dude.
Chutes and Ladders, $12.88 on Amazon Prime. It does. Yeah, it doesn't really give you much information on the game. If you can't figure out how to play this game, then you're doing it wrong. Life, I mean.
No, Life's a different board game.
Ages are 3+. So, yeah, it's...
So even Power Pack could play it.
Yes, even Power Pack could play it when they're not getting molested by Master Pandemonium. Okay, moving on. This has been a really twisted episode, I'm not going to lie. So, let's talk about news.
Here you go.
All right. Oh, here we go.
Dude's hands are like actually demon puppets.
Oh wow.
Are they demons or demon puppets?
That's messed up.
Well, I mean, they look like puppets because they're on his hand, and he like whenever they're talking and he's using them, like it looks like hand puppets, but they're like their own sentient beings, I think. It's kind of disturbing.
All right, let's talk news. Let's get away from the weird stuff. Okay, big news for this week. We didn't talk about it last week. Sony and Marvel are teaming up. Spider-Man cinematic character. They're going to be doing like a dual effort. All right, let's see what Topher's showing us. Oh, that is just fucked up looking.
How is that not like?
Why are there little children on his hands?
There's like little kids.
Well, this is when he first got it done. They were like infant demons or something. I don't know. Like my question, like this was in the 70s. My question is, how does this actually happen in the first place? I mean, that's just wrong in and of itself.
They were on narcotics. Of course, they were on like whatever was the big trippy drug was back in the 70s.
LSD is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, right. You know, it would be a good idea if we put children on this dude's arms and make him evil.
Brian looks legitimately upset about this.
I hope he has a steady girlfriend because I don't want to know what he does on his lone time.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh man!
Yeah.
Hey, could you give me a hand?
With all those little hands, I bet it looks huge. This is so bad. We're all going to hell. Okay, like I said, Sony and Marvel are teaming up for the new Spider-Man cinematic character. It will no longer be Andrew Garfield. There are rumors that Dylan O'Brien from Teen Wolf and Logan Lerman from Percy Jackson's are being considered. Which, if you know who those actors are, they're both considerably younger. So it makes a lot of people, in a lot of places that I've read on the internet, curious as to whether or not they're considering doing a Miles Morales Spider-Man instead of a Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Well, they said that it's going to be... did they clarify? They clarified he's going to be in high school, not like we've seen in every movie where he's basically graduating in the next half of the movie. They said he's going to be in high school for this one. I don't think we'll see Miles. Not saying I wouldn't mind it.
That's the hot ticket Spider-Man right now, though, isn't it?
But I don't think they're going to do it. I think they just got Spider-Man partially back, and they have they got him back into the fold of the movies. So I think they're going to go with Peter, because Peter's the big A-list Spider-Man.
Miles Morales is a big deal in the comics world, and he's gotten a lot of press for, excuse me, you know, like when they were like, oh, the first non-white, you know, Spider-Man, and like, but then like even articles that said it, they were like, well, it's an alternate universe one, like, you know, so in mainstream media, like his media presence is like not nearly as high, so like I can't see Marvel finally getting, you know, Spider-Man back in a sense, and their first movie not doing Peter Parker. Like,
yeah, I agree. I think that would be a mistake. I think in the general public's eyes, Peter Parker is known just from like the cartoons, from the previous last few movies, like them or not. You know, they were relatively popular. Lots of people saw them. They did pretty decently at the box office. Back to even the old made-for-television movies that featured Peter Parker and things like that. So if they went to the Miles Morales, I think that you would end up with a lot of people going to see the movie just because Marvel is popular at the movie theaters right now. that wouldn't understand who Miles Morales is at all.
Miles.
So, I think it would be a big mistake on their part if they were to go that route. Moving on, let's talk about something that I think Topher is probably going to be fairly excited about if you haven't heard about it already.
More fan fiction?
more fanfic. Patrick Stewart is going to be playing Professor Xavier again in the 2017 Wolverine film.
And they're still not going to give Wolverine a costume.
I actually hadn't heard that, but that's cool. I mean, Patrick Stewart was an awesome Professor X. So.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody that would play Professor X better than him. Like at that age range, where they portrayed him in the movies that he has been in, I think he was stellar Professor X.
I mean, you any character that you like and there's an actor who does a good job, it's like damn near impossible to see anyone else playing that role. But I mean, no one's completely irreplaceable. I mean, I'm sure they could find somebody else who would look the part and fit. But yeah, I mean, anytime you get Patrick Stewart to do anything, it's awesome. So.
Now, were you a fan of Star Trek Next Generation?
Oh yeah, that was like my favorite Star Trek. That was the one I grew up watching. So.
Were you a Star Trek or Star Wars?
I was one of those people who liked both and didn't see the need for a giant war between the two because they're completely different.
Both?
But which one's your favorite?
I mean, I much prefer Star Wars, but I like Star Trek too. Like to me it was never like Star Wars is better because like they're two different things. Like I don't compare the two. I'm a super huge fan of Star Wars though, so like my love for Star Trek isn't anywhere near what that for Star Wars is. But that doesn't mean Star Trek is bad or Star Wars is better in some way. Like, I've always liked Star Wars more.
What about you, Brian? Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
All right, fair enough. I'm kind of like Topher too. I liked both. I did like Star Wars better, but I also grew up watching Star Trek Next Generation all the time. It's not the action-packed show that Star Wars, is in the movies, but it's...
When I was a kid, I'd have to say that I like Star Trek more.
Yeah, before my first time seeing Star Wars when I was like to an age where I could really appreciate it, Star Trek was definitely my favorite because it was on TV all the time. I mean, it was like they would have the new one on, and then they would have like rerun. They would play like fucking 4 reruns back to back to back. So you could just sit down and watch Star Trek for like 3 hours or 4 hours straight if you wanted to. And it was good. It was, the special effects for the time were pretty decent. It was exciting. So,
everybody gives the Star Wars expanded universe, like all the novels and whatnot, give them a hard time. Like, expanded universe, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, like the explosion of books that happened in the mid to late 90s after Timothy Zahn wrote Heir to the Empire.
Oh, that was a good book.
It was a great book, but after that book, you started getting all these other writers doing like all these other stories in the expanded universe that came after that and based off of that, and it was that surge in popularity again over the books that led to more toy lines, and then they started talking about the prequels actually happening, and so I mean it in a sense it kind of revived Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars was always popular, like people liked the movies, but I mean if you think about like the late 80s, what was there of Star Wars?
Not much.
Like in pop culture, I mean, the internet wasn't out there, so you couldn't really go look for, Star Wars fandoms and participate in communities for people talking about it. I mean, yeah, all you could do is sit there and write your slash fics between, Jabba the Hutt and an Ewok, and just figure out how how it would wash that goo of the slime out of its fur the next morning, and so that was pretty much all you had to go on for years. And then the expanded universe happened, and suddenly there was like Star Wars was just everywhere, toys and like they started making shows and the cartoons, and you had the prequels come out, and then all of a sudden it was like Star Wars took over, and at that point, then I liked it more than Star Trek.
Now, during the 90s, did either of you guys ever play the Star Trek or Star Wars card games?
No.
Oh man, I played the shit out of both of them.
I never played the Star Trek one. My cousin had a deck of the Star Wars card game, and he had a couple decks, and he lived out of state, but when they would come visit for the summer, I would play with him a few times with all of his cards, and it was actually kind of fun.
Brian, you need to get on our level, man.
Yo,
you're like losing your nerd rank real fast. What did you do like throughout the 90s as a nerd child?
Video games.
That's it?
Pretty much.
You didn't have any other like. You didn't play
No,
like
I didn't
Warhammer
like the card
or
games.
like.
No.
None of that.
played.
No tabletop anything.
I didn't either. Really.
I had Heroes Quest. I played that.
Oh,
right,
everybody.
It was
played
basically
Heroes Quest.
Dungeons and Dragons.
That's all right. We'll take that.
I loved that game. That game is so awesome.
And StarCraft.
Yeah.
The original StarCraft.
Yeah, my 90s were pretty much dominated by video games. Like, I may have played a game of a card game here and there, or a session of a tabletop RPG, but it was all video games.
See, where I grew up, we had a local hobby shop that sold a lot of Magic the Gathering, Star Trek, Star Wars, and then later started selling the BattleTech tabletop figures and the Warhammer tabletop figures and stuff. And so we played. They had a game night, every Wednesday night or something for 3 hours, and we would go in there and you just sit around and play card games and stuff like that. It was tons of fun.
See, I was one of those people in high school that sat at the other lunch table that would look over at the kids playing Magic cards at the Magic table and would just sit there and shake my head in judgment.
You would have judged me then, for sure.
Yeah, probably.
You threw French fries at them, didn't you?
It wasn't until I was in college that
you let your nerd flag fly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
I was a closet nerd up until then. I didn't come out until college.
All right. Next bit of news: they released the first look at the Deadpool mask for the Deadpool movie. Did you guys get a chance to see this?
In a nice sepia tone.
Yeah. I didn't really care for the photo.
Of it.
Well, he said he put that filter on there because the mask was a prototype and it's actually pink and it didn't look much like Deadpool's red, so he put the filter on there to make it look less fake.
I see. What did you think of the way it looks, Brian? Any opinion whatsoever?
It looks legit.
It looks like a Deadpool mask.
Are you excited for this movie?
I am excited. I'm so excited I just can't hide it. I don't want to lose control because I think I like it.
That's the most words we've gotten out of Brian all day today.
They're not even his words. He's
I know.
just quoting song lyrics.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
I am excited to see the movie. I can't wait to see what they do with. I really hope that they make it rated R and they really stay true to the character, though.
No,
Otherwise,
they said it's definitely going to be PG-13, but Ryan Reynolds said that it's going to work. That it's going to be because ever since that piece of shit movie came out, he's lobbied and protested for them to make a Deadpool movie, and he wanted to make it legitimate, straight from the comics. But I feel like that he'll do it, and we'll be happy.
That's good.
That script has been around for a while, and supposedly everyone that's read it, in the comics industry and whatnot, has all said, yeah, this is the Deadpool movie that actually needs to happen.
I feel like they just casted Some chick in the movie.
I have not seen anything about.
I heard
castings.
I heard there were a couple options for the female lead, but
Oh, here we
I
go,
don't
right here.
remember who they were.
Gina Carano
Oh yeah,
is
that's
going to be
Mhm.
playing Haywire.
Gonna play. Oh,
Or no, I'm sorry. She is the leading lady in Haywire. That's another movie.
okay.
Carano
Way to
joins
go.
T.J. Miller in an undisclosed role. So they have
My
not-
guess is Domino.
no. You
supporting
think they
cast
can
as
put
the
her as
character Angel
Domino?
Dust.
I think Domino's going to be in the movie, and they're going to have.
They're saying it's going to be Angel Dust.
I don't even know who the fuck that is.
Gina Carano is. Gina, are you guys familiar with who she is?
Yeah.
Nope.
She is.
She's-
She used to be a mixed martial arts fighter. She was like the most popular, and at her time, the best female mixed martial artist out there. She really was the one that brought female mixed martial arts onto the map. And since then, she basically stopped fighting MMA and started doing movies and stuff. So that's a little bit about her.
She was also in the rebooted American Gladiator TV show
Yes,
when
she
it was
was.
on with Hulk Hogan and what's her face?
I don't know who else was on it 'cause I never saw it, but I know
what's
that
her-
she was on it.
Angel Dust. She's a mutant.
Oh, really?
A member of the underground band of mutants who call themselves Morlocks. Angel Dust has barely appeared in the comics outside of a 2002 Morlocks miniseries written by Jeff Johns. Okay, well that's why I don't know her, because I wasn't really reading comics in 2002.
Fair enough. So, yeah.
Layla Ali. That was who the other one. It was Hulk Hogan and Layla Ali.
Oh, I thought you were saying
Good.
Layla Ali was going to be in the movie Deadpool.
Yep,
Yeah.
she's in love. She plays Bob, Agent of Hydra.
The last bit of news that I have, The Rock, who's going to be playing Black Adam, was quoted as
That's
saying,
racist.
"One day you will see Black Adam go at it with Superman or Batman."
Like, go at it, or
I knew you
Or
were
fan-
gonna,
fan-
I knew that motherfucker was going to take it that direction. Damn.
Fan fiction?
once you go Black Adam, you never go back Adam.
Adam?
Oh, God. So, I think this is going to be awesome. I think that opens up a lot of exciting storylines if you have Black Adam as like a prominent anti-hero that's fighting against Superman or potentially Batman. I'd prefer to see him fight Superman personally, but what do you guys think about that?
Their fight in
I want to see him.
Forever Evil was pretty sick.
Yeah.
Well, sort of Superman.
I want to see Black Adam go on a date with Solomon Grande.
Jesus, how did you?
Really, Brian? Really? Oh,
How
this is why we can't have nice things.
How did you manage to come up with such a stupid question that would last literally the entire length of the podcast?
That's what I do.
It just like seeped its way into every
talent.
single topic that we've talked about throughout the entire podcast. Just spoiled the whole goddamn thing.
Yep. I'm gonna pick it back up next week. Just watch.
God, that's
We
gonna.
gotta get Pirates answer.
Yeah,
Pirate would be more excited for this kind of shit because,
because he's out there
He's
chasing the deck,
pirate.
and swabbing the booty.
yeah.
Oh God.
Or swabbing the deck, chasing the booty. Wait.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It goes like that, something.
So, all right. Well, that's about it for this week. A little bit shorter episode this week. There wasn't a whole lot of news to talk about necessarily this week. Hopefully next
But
week.
a lot
there'll
of
be
fan
more.
fiction.
A lot of fan fiction this week. That's true. And hopefully we get Pirate back on here. That's about it for this week. I'm Fox2. We got Topher.
Went drinking with Pirate last night at beer fest, and it was yeah, it was pretty rough. I'm surprised I'm conscious today, so I'm not the least bit surprised that he's not. But it was in the same exhibit hall at the convention center that the Comic Expo's at, and I gotta admit, walking around it was kind of depressing. Like, where are all the comics at?
Where's the comics? And the whole effing Brian.
I'm surprised we don't see like Pirate come into frame, going, oh, I'm all finished down here.
Well, there you go, Fox. Brian just did the comic book nerd nation / fic and just paired me and Pirate.
Right now you see Topher like, no, I said stay down. Stay down, they can still see.
Check this out.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.